Scientific Saturdays are a Srimad Bhagavatam class, which take place in the Zurich temple every 2 weeks. But the verses that are chosen and their purports have been selected so that we can explore particular topics of Krishna consciousness in relationship to science and philosophy. These are the subject matters of the big questions of life. Who are we? What is consciousness? What is life itself?
These scientific Saturdays are an opportunity for everyone associated with our temple community to come and get some clarity about, first of all, what is science? How is it understood in the modern day by scientists? How is it understood or misunderstood by a wider public? How it is perhaps understood or misunderstood in the devotee community. Then, what is spiritual science? What is the science of Krishna Bhakti? And how can we call it science? Is it science in the same way as what we understand as empirical? Or is it something else? What is the relation of the two? And why is this important?
So we'll be looking at these questions, through a kind of philosophical analysis of the evidence in modern science and looking at the interpretations which are given to that. We will probably question interpretations which seem to rely on things like chance, which isn't a very scientific subject, but rather we'll be looking at what is the underlying causality of this world. And to give you a little hint of what it might be, it's to do with consciousness, and it's to do with the ultimate in consciousness that is beyond this world. So we'll be exploring these topics bit by bit, hopefully in a progressive way. There'll be a range of devotees involved, but we're doing it under the guidance of the Bhaktivedanta Institute, which is the organization established by Srila Prabhupada himself in order to explore the relationship of Krishna consciousness with science.
Then, what is spiritual science? What is the science of Krishna Bhakti? And how can we call it science? Is it science in the same way as what we understand as empirical? Or is it something else? What is the relation of the two? And why is this important? We live in a world today where science seems to predominate the world in many ways. And the Krishna Consciousness movement is challenging that paradigm, because that paradigm rests essentially on a shaky foundation, although they think it is solid, of what we broadly call materialism. It is just waiting to be challenged. And so there will be benefit for everyone who takes part to get a clear idea of just what we're talking about. For example, when Srila Prabhupada says, life comes from life, how can we say that? How can we make that claim? And what is that claim based on in comparison with other claims that are made in the present day?
We have many devotees who themselves are scientifically trained in universities and working in laboratories and in academia. And they often question how best to engage their skills, their talents, their background, and their knowledge in the service of Krishna. But also many other devotees have a simple interest. They're reading the scriptures, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and these books, these texts are revealing information about the world. And we want to understand, how does that work? Does it square with what we are told about science?
Srila Prabhupada was very concerned to bring to public awareness that science, as it's understood today, needs to be questioned. But it needs to be questioned in a way which is resonating with, or which respects our modern understanding of critical analysis of evidence and so on. And so he wanted to enable devotees to become articulate in the sphere of scientific study, scientific understanding, and to be articulate in scriptural understanding, that of the Vedic corpus, and to be articulate in bringing these two in discussion with each other.
Srila Prabhupada became increasingly concerned that the biggest obstacle facing people's acceptance of Krishna consciousness was the indoctrination they had endured from a kind of picture of existence that simply said, you are this body. Consciousness is a product of the brain. You exist from birth until death, and then that's it, finished. There is no other reality. That is such an empty, terrible message to give to society, that we see the results. There is isolation, alienation, nihilism. People lose hope and faith. They can't see any purpose to just, why should we just struggle on if at the end we just die and that's it? This is also inciting our materialism, our consumerism, our overconsumption on the planet. We credit science with many wonderful gadgets and technologies which seem to have made our life better. And there seem to be improvements in medicine and health and in the general welfare of people materially. But it's coming at a terrible price, both to our own sanity and also to the planet. It is the results of science and its misapplication, and particularly misguided application, that has taken modern society to the point where we're actually worried that we could drive ourselves and all other species extinct on this planet, thanks to our behavior, thanks to the employment of technologies which are supposed to help, which are actually destroying the world. So Prabhupada was concerned on all these levels, but particularly he thought that if we can clarify that nothing in science tells us we should not accept the message of the Bhagavatam. Rather, what we will show in Scientific Saturdays is that the evidence that exists in science substantiates and supports the message of Krishna consciousness, and how the Srimad Bhagavatam can help us even develop science to become an even better tool and more beneficial tool for human society. So we hope that this will be inspirational for the devotees in their own lives and how they share Krishna consciousness with others.